Welcome back, everybody, to volume 3 of our A2 ASE prep. Y'all ready for this?
I know I am. Let's get started.
The first question says, a vehicle is being diagnosed for a jerking condition that is most prevalent in overdrive. Technician A says that a faulty spark plug could be the cause. I think we can stop right there for a moment and think, okay, we are in overdrive and the vehicle is jerking. Outside of just transmission in general, we know that that can be from a misfire, right? So you can go back and replay me making those funny sounds. A faulty spark plug could always cause something like that, right?
Definitely. And I consider myself a jerking expert. So if anyone's going to, elaborate on this, it should be me. And this is really common. I used to see it all the time. And you'd get a vehicle, and as you get into those higher gears, these high load situations where we need a lot of kV to fire, so we're having a lot of cylinder pressure.
kV being
thousands of volts. So
firing voltage,
yeah,
right?
secondary ignition voltage. You're going to get a spark blowout condition.
Right.
And sometimes people misdiagnose this as a transmission problem or a torque converter clutch problem. And we would see this all the time in the field. This is an excellent question. And as you were saying, that is definitely viable.
Right.
And that's usually the first thing we should be looking at. You'll get a customer come in and saying, hey, I think I have a transmission issue. Give it a good test drive. If it's jerking, let's maybe take a look at that misfire counter, something like that, maybe some mode 6 data to help you to see, is there a misfire occurring during that situation? All right, let's take a look at Tech B. What's Tech B saying?
Technician B says that a slipping clutch pack in the transmission could be the cause. Well, we've got that keyword slipping,
Yeah,
and the
slipping.
Clutch pack
Now,
is...
Is slipping going to cause jerking, though? This is interesting.
Right. That is an interesting point there.
Right.
If a clutch pack... First off, we now also need to think about what does a clutch pack do? A clutch pack is going to help hold a
it's
certain
an
part
element
of our,
that's holding, right? Okay.
our gear set, right?
And
So
if it slips,
if it's slipping,
generally what we're going to see is an increase in RPM, okay? And
but then it catches.
well, it could be, but not an equivalent increase in speed. Usually when these are slipping, you're going to see the RPMs, you're going to have the RPM flare up.
Right.
And the vehicle speed not flare up accordingly. So
Right.
it doesn't feel like a jerk. It feels
Right.
very
Sounds like
much,
you're revving out of gear.
yeah, or like a manual transmission, if anyone's driven one of those, or you have your foot still on the clutch.
Right.
That's what it's going to feel like. That's not jerking.
Right.
So
That's slipping.
slipping is very different.
Right.
And I, like I say, this is another great question where if you've been in the industry and you've been diagnosing vehicles, this is going to be a very easy one for you. Also, if you're a jerking expert, like many of us are, this should be easy, right? So best answer?
It sounds like A is going to be our best answer.
I'm going with A only. Let's take a look at the next question.
The next question says, a transmission is being prepared for installation into the car. The new torque converter does not set back in the bell housing as far as it did upon disassembly. I feel like you see this so many times.
All the time. This is a very common mistake, especially to kind of new technicians.
Right.
They think the converter is installed properly, and the very last little bit is engaging the pump.
Right.
And sometimes it'll only engage in a very particular
Right,
place.
right.
And even as a kid, I remember this. I'd put the torque converter in, and I think it's all the way in.
Right.
My dad would come by and be like, eh.
Yeah.
He would kind of put his hands around the converter in
To
the bell
see the
housing.
space.
And now that's what I do. As an adult, I'll put my fingers in, and if I can get my hand around that converter,
Too much space.
definitely not there. Now, some people can actually turn the converter and listen.
And feel if it's...
Yeah, they can, those transmission experts, maybe not me. And, but it's one of those things that happens all the time. This is a great question from ASE.
Yeah.
Really seeing, hey, are you working in the field?
Right,
Because this
right.
is something we deal with. I get it all the time.
So
People
common.
would try to install the transmission with a converter not actually seated in the pump.
Right.
And you can cause a lot of damage.
Yeah,
there,
you
'cause-
can. Right, you can destroy the pump that way, can't you?
Yeah, or a converter, right? You can definitely damage both, right? You're pushing
Right.
on both things
Right,
together,
yeah.
right? None of that is ideal, right?
Right, right. So
A is very viable, right? We're going to say.
Technician A says that this is because the old torque converter was worn. So that would be assuming that the old torque converter was worn and allowing it to seat back. Torque converters don't wear like that.
Yeah.
So Tech A's, I'm going to say a no-go.
Yeah, definitely. And Tech B?
Tech B says that this is because the torque converter is not fully engaged into the pump, which is exactly what happens.
Just what we explained, yeah. So best answer on this one?
B.
B only. All right, let's take a look at the next question.
The next question says, which of the following faults would be most likely to cause a shudder condition during the road test? A, torque converter clutch lockup. Oops, sorry, I read that wrong. Torque converter lockup clutch, same. B, weak transmission oil pump. C, planetary gear set shift, or D, torque converter stator slipping. So this is one of those questions I think I would have a hard time with.
Right.
So they're mentioning a shudder condition, right? Similar to jerking, but different. We've got a few answers here that I think might be interesting just to consider. So weak transmission oil pump, I'm not sure how that one would relate.
Well, sometimes jerking can lead to a shudder, and that might be, we can explain that later, but that's a thing. There's a pathology there. But yeah, if we look at each one of these, like you're saying, this might be a little difficult for you to answer. Well, if you look at each one individually, right, don't get overwhelmed. Let's look at that first one, torque converter lockup clutch. Now we know that lockup clutch is going to occur, right, when we're already at speed, generally in the higher gears, right, fourth gear, perhaps higher gears on these modern transmissions.
Yes.
And as we apply that clutch, it's generally pulse width modulated. We don't just lock that clutch up instantly.
Right, you mentioned that before.
Right, so depending on fluid has a big effect here, okay? So different transmission fluids, they can cause this jerking sensation when we're locking up the clutch. If someone uses the wrong transmission fluid, especially on modern transmissions, you can get this. In fact, a lot of the manufacturers have had a lot of trouble. Toyota techs would know this, Honda techs would know this. Very, very common. And Toyota likes to lock up the clutch in all sorts of gears, not just the high gears. So you would get shutters on those, Hondas as well. And oftentimes they'd tell you to change the transmission fluid.
But that would be for the wrong fluid.
Not
You're mentioning
not necessarily.
Not the Honda one you just mentioned, but before you said wrong fluid, in which it can be fluid related, but a weak transmission oil pump?
Okay, yeah, if we're going to go down that, if we're going to go down, the torque converter lockup clutch to me is very, very viable. That could cause a shudder 100%. If we go to the next one, a weak oil pump is likely going to cause slipping. We're going to not have the right transmission pressures, as we're saying, to hold those elements.
Right,
those pistons and servos, all that apply pressure is not going to be correct. So slipping, that's definitely not the shudder.
Right.
Now, if we go down to a planetary gear set chipped, does this happen? Certainly it could happen.
Now, would that cause more of like a sound or a whine,
my
perhaps?
thoughts exactly. We're going to get something else.
Okay.
And it's not going to be the shudder, right?
And then torque converter stator slipping.
Right. Now we have another slipping thing. It's an interesting one, right?
Yeah, that's a weird one.
Yeah, so the stator, we have a one-way clutch in the converter. We talked about this in past episodes, how a fluid coupling is different than a torque converter. A torque converter has torque multiplication effect. Now, if you look it up, if you want to really do some research, you can look up cars did have fluid couplings in the past. And they missed out on that torque multiplication effect of a torque converter. A torque converter includes the stator, which has a one-way clutch, which allows that fluid as it's going through the converter to kind of have to get redirected and give it another pass, essentially. So
then what would the stator be slipping on? I've not heard of that before.
So it should lock in one direction, which would essentially allow torque multiplication below the stall speed. So if you had this effect, it would feel almost like you have a plugged Cali converter,
I see.
Very sluggish on takeoff. Those are often misdiagnosed, in fact, where a car will come in and it'll feel very lethargic off the line. People might diagnose it as a torque converter issue, and sometimes it could be a Cali converter, or vice versa. Now, of course, there's tests
to do either of those.
Exactly right. So in this case, like I said, everything else here would not do this shudder.
It would cause something else.
Yeah, and also if you're actively working in the industry, you're going to have seen cars that exhibit this shudder. It's actually quite common. Generally, you have to remove the torque converter and replace it. I don't care what Toyota or Honda tells you to change the fluid 16 times and cross your fingers.
Listen, I do think that many times just changing transmission fluid has
mechanic
just...
in a can right here. You just, who needs a mechanic,
I'm just saying,
right? You just put
you
the
guys know what
fluid.
I'm talking about. You guys know what I'm talking about.
Well, there you
Listen,
go.
the problem either goes away or it gets worse.
Yeah, I like it. But remember, that fluid's not cheap, okay? You're buying
No, you're right. It is. Some of it that's very expensive, especially modern transmission.
It is important to remember that the fluids, have different friction characteristics.
Right.
And it is very, very important in modern transmissions to use the correct fluid, or you can get some very odd torque converter clutch application.
Right.
All right, let's take a look at the next question.
The next question says, a vehicle is being diagnosed for a problem of the engine dying when coming to a stop. After restarting the engine, it dies again when the transmission is shifted into any gear. Tech A says that the torque converter could be the cause. I mean, to me, that's the job of the torque converter, is to disengage the engine when we do from the transmission when we do come to a stop. So it sounds like the car's stalling because it's still in gear.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I can't say I've seen this personally.
I haven't either.
Right. And they do oftentimes ask questions relating this, just like you're saying, so you prove you understand what the part's doing, right?
Right, yeah.
And the converter, obviously, like you said, kind of allows you to come to a complete stop without the engine stalling.
Yeah.
And somehow it could have failed where the clutch in the converter is somehow stuck on. I don't know how that happens. But
they didn't tell us anything about it. They just said torque converter could be the cause.
And things can fail in a million ways. So I didn't want to go down that road.
Right.
I wish it was worded a little bit differently, but I think you're right. I think we're going to have to say, yeah, theoretically, a converter could fail in a fashion where it is applying, right? The torque converter clutch. Or maybe something else is causing it to be locked up with the engine.
Right. How? I don't know, but that part does that job. And so for those of you out there who are like me, my chronic overthinkers out there, shut it off right there.
Yeah.
Torque converter, okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Tech B is a little bit more descriptive with that. The torque converter clutch solenoid could be the cause, which is directly what you just said, right?
Right, which means the car, for whatever reason, now is applying that torque converter clutch, which is basically turned into a manual transmission at that point. It is going to be 100% connecting the engine to the transmission, and then, of course, the transmission is connected to the wheels. If the wheels are going 0 RPM,
the transmission's going 0 RPM, which then the engine's going to go 0 RPM.
Right, so yeah, it's definitely interesting. Overall, I don't think it's the best word question, but I think if you do it the way you did, methodically, and say, okay, theoretically, could this happen? Sure, it could. So best answer on this one, even though I don't love it, is going to be C.
Yeah, I think both of them.
Both technicians, yeah. All right, let's take a look at the next one.
All right, Technician A says that only the manufacturer recommended transmission fluid should be added to an automatic transmission. And I'm going to stop right there. In the past, you've mentioned the importance of the proper transmission fluid. I feel like transmission fluid is one of those fluids you don't want to mess around with. You don't just want to grab any old bottle off the shelf and say, oh, well, it says for automatic transmission, I'm going to toss that in here.
Definitely. And there's a lot of universal fluids out there that will tell you can put it in anything.
I hate that. Any universal anything. Listen, just stay away from universal anything, I think.
Yeah, and I've seen in the past where manufacturers would try to avoid your warranty if they thought you put the wrong fluid in. I had that many, many years ago with a Dodge when they came out with their 5-speed. This must have been like 04, 05, and they tried to do that. The transmission had failed, and I had dropped the pan, and at the time it was taking, ATF +4 Mopar fluid, something like that, or +3, I can't remember, it was a while ago. I think it was the +4. It's very expensive.
Yeah.
I called the dealership. They said, hey, it's under warranty, bring it down. And I'm like, well, I'm just going to put some basic, Dexron 3 in here and drive it over because I don't want to spend whatever $10 a quart.
Right. You just need to get it to the
right,
dealership
literally
there.
A mile away. Took it over and they said, hey, this has the wrong fluid in it.
Yeah, I know it has the wrong fluid.
Wow. And it wasn't my car. It was a customer's car. It was a nightmare. I ended up taking it to another dealership and they took care of it. So
there you go.
It worked out just fine. But yeah, I definitely agree with this. the right fluid can make a huge difference, especially in the modern transmissions. They
Absolutely.
are
I think
very
in
finicky.
I think in most transmissions, not something you want to mess with, right?
Yeah, I think some of the older ones, it was maybe less of a concern.
Oh, yeah, sure.
We used
You're
to get,
talking about like a 70s vehicle, no problem. 80s
yeah,
vehicle,
in
no
fact,
problem.
we used to mix and match. Some of the old timers might remember a Type F Ford transmission. People would put it in their GM transmissions and it would shift firmer, whatever. So people were doing that back in the day, but in modern times, I definitely do not recommend, and definitely not universal fluid.
Yeah, and I think that even goes with like manual transmission fluid too. You got to be careful. There's
sure.
like that synchro mesh or whatever. There's all
Definitely.
kinds of weird stuff with transmission fluid. So I'm going to definitely agree with Tech A in that
All right.
only use the manufacturer recommended
Definitely.
fluid. Tech B says that some manufacturers recommend checking the transmission fluid in park, and we've covered this question, or not
Right.
this exact question, but this concept before. I think most cars will say park or neutral. I think in the
Yeah.
past you mentioned that. Dodge maybe have mentioned neutral only.
Yeah, the older ones.
And in this
Definitely.
case, it says some manufacturers recommend checking the transmission fluid in park, which many do.
Yeah, and we're talking about Dodge. I mean, they got rid of dipsticks a long time ago, unfortunately. With Dodge,
Right.
the dipstick was kind of a factory tool. Mercedes the same. So a lot of them have kind of followed suit. And beyond that, a lot of them were having to check by removing some sort of check plug, almost like we would check a manual transmission. So
Yeah, I think they want to keep. I think they want to keep the everyday drivers from pulling that dipstick.
Yeah,
and maybe it's because incorrectly checking the fluid.
Yeah,
any
or
type of little
adding.
extra step of adding or incorrectly checking and thinking that it needs more fluid than it
Definitely.
does, or whatever it might be. So I think it's a safety precaution to protect people from themselves.
Yeah, for a while, Mercedes, Dodge, someone would have a dipstick, and then you remove what you thought was a dipstick itself, and it's a plug. And you're
Right.
like, how do I even check this, right? So you could technically fill through there, but you couldn't check it. It was
Right, you got to go into your toolbox,
your
grab
factory
your
tool.
dipstick.
Yeah, special tool number so-and-so. Yeah, very, very annoying. So in this case, do we check the fluid in park? Yeah, likely, right? That's going
Yeah.
to be the vast, vast majority. Checking in gear sounds absurd, and of course, you mentioned there are
Dangerous.
some we would check in neutral. Okay?
Right,
So
right.
best answer here is got to be C.
Both of them.
Another easy one.
Yay.
All right. Well, there you go.
Thank you guys so much again for hanging out with us on our A2 ASE prep. Please let us know in the comments what other ASEs you want to get ready for so we can help you out. And again, also please like and subscribe if you like what we're doing.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.